himself to pursue some questions. By the way, your investigation of the leak was more extensive than the White House investigation of the outing of a CIA agent, which was involving national security. They did nothing. We had a hearing on that a couple of weeks ago. They did absolutely nothing. They didn't ask any of their employees. They didn't ask anybody who had access to this information how it got out, how it was being marketed to different press people, even though it affected national security and might have threatened the life of a covert CIA agent.
Maybe they could transfer Mr. Miller to the White House and everybody would be happy here.
Yeah. Then he could make political presentations about the upcoming Republican campaigns. I want to ask you about a statement that you made regarding the Sun contract. You said that Ms. Doan's actions were a breach of GSA's fiduciary duty to U.S. taxpayers. Why did you say this?
Well, because for the first Sun, there were two contracts with Sun prior to that were consolidated into one Sun contract. We did a post-award audit. We did two post-award audits on that, and learned that Sun had overcharged us by $27 million. So the first Sun contract cost $27 million in defective pricing. To push through another contract with Sun following that is what I was trying to express was not in the best interest of the taxpayer, especially when we had done a pre-award audit indicating that the rates, the discounts that Sun was offering were not the best discounts to the government. They were offering commercial customers better discounts than they were to the U.S. taxpayers.
And that was inconsistent with the rules, wasn't it?
It was, yes, sir.
Now, you also said it's the first time we are aware of in which an administration has personally intervened in this way. Why did you say that?
My staff is not aware of an administrator becoming involved in any negotiation in the same way at any time in the past.
Well, she said she wasn't involved.
Our office has not been aware of any administrator being involved, even in the way that she says she was involved in with the emails and with talking with the commissioner of FAS, and certainly with the word going out that this was a strategically important contract and needed to go through. Certainly when she talked to, on August 29th, she called an impromptu meeting with the head of audits of my staff and with my counsel. And at that meeting, she told them how important the Sun contract was and that it needed to go through. They attempted to explain the problems with the Sun negotiation.
And this was Ms. Doan herself?
With Ms. Doan herself.
And never would have thought that.
She cut them off when they tried to explain the problems with the Sun negotiation.
Now, they were trying to explain to her what her own contracting officers had said, that if they go ahead with this contract, the taxpayers are going to have to pay millions of dollars in additional funds for a service than otherwise would be the case. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
So she said she acted as if she wasn't involved in this. I guess the question is, what does involved mean? It's sort of like, what is a briefing? A briefing seems to be, in her mind, only a sit-down meeting where charts and pointers are involved. But you actually had a sit-down meeting with her, or was it a telephone conversation?
Well, actually, it was the head of my audits, Andy Patchett. Mm-hmm. He was the Assistant Inspector General for Auditing and the counsel for the Inspector General, who went up and briefed her on this at very short notice. Mm-hmm.
Well, if they didn't give this contract to Sun Microsystem, wouldn't they have had other bidders come in and have some competition and see if somebody else would do the job at a cheaper amount?
Mr. Chairman, that was our position. In fact, our Deputy Inspector General suggested that one way to resolve the impasse was for GSA to team up with NASA, the NASA soup, to force Sun to give the government better discounts. Because by joining forces with NASA, we have more leverage on Sun, and we would be able to push the discounts to get greater discounts at a better price for the taxpayer.
Well, that would have been good. But Ms. Doan seemed to worry that that NASA might provide a contract with Sun Microsystems, and then she wouldn't get the money that GSA gets for that contract. Is that right?
Well, that's what I understand was her point to the head of my auditing and to the council. She did mention the NASA soup. Now, I wasn't there, so I can't say for sure what was said. But,
well, the only comment I'd make to that is her job is to protect the taxpayers, not to have the taxpayers pay more just so she could get a percentage for her agency.
Well, there is, at GSA, obviously, if the price goes up, the GSA gets a commission, so to speak, a fee. And so the revenues going into GSA actually increase. But if the price goes down, the fee decreases. And by our pre-award audits, we can actually push, if the contracting officer accepts our recommendations, the prices can actually go down, and it may result in fewer funds going into GSA.
How do NASA soup prices compared to GSA's? I'm told NASA's are often better. Is that the case?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know personally. I understand that NASA soup may actually adopt GSA's price negotiations.
Now, this is on a schedule that goes out to the government-wide, and GSA is supposed to bargain hard to negotiate the lowest prices, because that's what everybody in the government assumes they've done when they go out and take advantage of a contract negotiated by GSA. Isn't that correct?
That's correct, and it does have an impact to resellers as well. The price negotiation drives the price, the discount that resellers of the same product sell to government agencies. So it can have a massive impact.
That involved money. Now let me ask you about a third statement you made involving the Edie Fraser contract. And
yes, sir.
In your testimony, and I gather that didn't go through, but in your testimony you said that the record paints quite a different picture than what Administrator Doan told the OIG investigators. This sounds like you're saying that she was not candid. Why did you say this?
Well, as I was trying to explain to the ranking member, but I didn't get a chance to explain, was the allegation came in. We thought the agent would simply interview the administrator and we would close the report, write a letter or report to the White House liaison. But instead, she told a story to our agents that could not possibly be true. And as a result, we had to go forward with our investigation of the administrator. Now, several days later, her attorney sent a letter trying to explain that the statements she made were incorrect, inaccurate.
What did she say that was not true?
Well, as I recall, I wasn't actually at the interview, but what the agents told me about the interview was she denied signing the contract, and she actually folded up the paper to say that it wasn't this, it was something like something else, and she'd folded it up. And when you put those pieces of paper together, you get two paragraphs that have the same number, and it just was not a plausible story. Other statements are statements that that it wasn't a contract, that she also minimized her relationship with Ms. Fraser.
What's the significance? I know she said a lot today, that it wasn't really a contract. What is significant? Why does she keep on denying this is a contract? She said it was a draft outline of the work to be performed, but she has difficulty saying that the document was a binding contract. And I find it surprising a person coming from a business background, as Ms. Doan does, would have so much trouble understanding whether or not she's entered into a contract. Was it a contract or was it not a contract?
I believe it was a contract, Mr. Chairman. Also, the general counsel at the time, Alan Swendeman, believed it was a contract, as did the acting general counsel.